Hello, welcome back to Leeds United, and our legacy is getting underway with plenty of new transfers, plenty of young new transfers. But we do need to start with the outs. I'm not happy with this one. I'm especially not happy he's there on 170 grand a week, because he was demanding 250 grand a week from me, and with the year left on his contract, he decided to just leave at the end of his contract a year in advance. So I cashed in for 60 million instead. 60 million versus nothing, and having him around for another year. Yeah, sure, fine. A little bit annoyed. Robin Gosens was subjected to a 15 million, I think it was, from El Attihad bid. I can't remember if it was in the episode or not last time out. That didn't go through. But with the year left on his contract, because he was only here for he only signed for 2 years in the first place, and with 13 natural fitness, I did suspect maybe his physicals might decline at 33. As much as I hated to see him go, I love Robin Gosens. I did manage to get 17 million for him from Marseille. It's not all up front, which actually is probably a good thing, really, because it helps fend off some future fees that we have to pay out ourselves. But it's all guaranteed, but it's not all up front. I think 12 million is over the next 3 years. I mean, you barely saw the lad, but he's gone to Al Hilal. Oscar Gluck, 19 million we sold him for. He's worth a ridiculous amount there considering his star rating, but might have actually been able to feature this year. 2 million in, loaned him out a few times, 18 million out. And I realised he probably could have played rotation in the advanced playmaker role, which I've been trying to find a replacement for Armada for. Whoops. But yeah, his potential ability capped out. He wasn't going to get any better. Gomez went to Benfica for 20 million. Again, 1 year left on his contract. 30 years old. I love him. He was really complaining about game time, particularly last year, and not being able to be in the Uruguay setup. I don't know why they still weren't playing him, despite the fact he wasn't playing for us. He's still their best striker. But 20 million, 1 year left. I think we got a reasonable deal, actually. Still a profit, and he had 2.5 good seasons for us, effectively. Also, Hakan needed 1 more year, and his physicals evaporated. He's gone to Zenit St. Petersburg for 6.5 million, or 8.5, I think, with potential fees. Free, played rotation, sold him for 6.5. Done. And I will just mention Danai McFadden. He hasn't got a face, but it's because I sold him. He had 1 year left on his contract with us as well. His potential ability is 2.5, maybe 3.5. And I'm now starting to believe it might be towards the 3.5. But he wanted... I mean, again, the wage thing annoys me because he wanted about 40 grand from us, which obviously I wasn't going to give him based on what he is right now. But with 1 year left on his contract and him demanding 40 grand, it's basically Armada, but scaled down. Because Armada at least would play. I'm a little annoyed. In fact, I could have used him in the rotation for advanced playmaker looking at it. But like I say, 1 year left. He wasn't going to get the contract he wanted from us. I had to sell him. And I got 11.25 million. We're going to pay attention to him going forward because I fear he might be okay. I do just need to mention Christian Petrov, who you've never seen before this point, I don't think. We've sold him for about 5 million to Austria Wien. He was one of those players we acquired on a free as an amateur player at Pendev, and we have sold him for about 5 million, just under. Oh, is it 4. It's 4.3 guaranteed, and it might be over 5 if he does things. We did loan him out last year, but he came in a free, loaned him out to Australia, and then sold him for 4 million. The amateur thing, you can get decent chip money by the looks of it. Now, his teammate, who you did actually see in the last episode, I think, we sold him for about 300, 400 grand. It wasn't anything, but it does seem like some of them can be okay. It's probably not worth it as a Premier League team who obviously have limits on the number of young players you can sign from abroad. But if you're in Germany, let's say, go for it. Knock yourself out. You can probably get a decent amount of chip money, particularly if you're lower down the structure to begin with. You can get a decent amount of chip money for it to then put into actual players that you want to use. I say 4 million, not to be sniffed at. Oh, there was one more, and the most baffling of all. Nathan Baxter's gone to Juventus. Our third choice goalkeeper, our homegrown goalkeeper, has gone to Juventus for 16.5 million. I mean, he's listed as 2 stars. His actual attributes don't look that awful. His mentals have some work that probably need doing to them, but reflexes 101's aerial reach, agility, jumping reach. In terms of the core attributes that I care about, he's actually not that bad, but again, he had 1 year left on his contract, and I kind of felt bad just holding him hostage. Weirdly, Genk offered 15 million for him, despite the fact they had an optional fee to buy him for 7.75 in his loan. I don't know what happened there, and I think the game broke a little bit because they were about to offer me twice as much money than was in his actual loan. It might have been a case of the fact it was 7.75 up front and then 7.75 over time or something like that, and it just presented me the offer as a whole, but then he declined them. And then Juventus actually bought him for just under 15 million guaranteed. We moved our inbounds and his replacement comes from Chelsea as well, because that's where Rodak ended up. Yeah, 1.2 million up front for Rodak as a third choice. Emergency backup, which he agreed to. Goalkeeper. Done. Simple. Straightforward. Our youth goalkeepers aren't quite there yet, so having another one behind Mama and a homegrown one behind Mama, kind of useful. And now we need to turn to the legacy players, because this one's been there for a while, and this is the one I need to get out of the way first, because, yeah, you can see the problem. Now, I'm pretty certain I agreed to this deal about 2 years ago in the game. He's one of those few rare players from abroad who actually doesn't just want to stay at their club until they turn 18, and then they suddenly, oh yeah, we'll come. He was actually happy to come at 16, and then had just had to wait 2 years. Problem was, he demanded 40 grand, and I clicked through by accident, because I certainly didn't agree to 40 grand on purpose. Still, if he has development and that 4/5 star, he might end up worth it. But right now, he's not worth it. He's also listed as a centre-back, which he absolutely isn't. Actually, I'm not looking at his crossing. I'm training as a defensive midfielder, but I'm not looking at his crossing. I mean, his dribbling's atrocious, so maybe, But his natural fitness is awful. His work rate's terrible. His pace is, his physicals across the board aren't fantastic. And his concentration is lacking, along with his heading. So there's holes everywhere, no matter where I want to train him. In fact, I might actually try and loan him out. We've got enough players developing into homegrown club players that we might be able to loan him out. 40 grand a week, I'm just going to have to loan him out for nothing because nobody's going to pay that, especially when he's League 2 level. And we actually returned to a former club to acquire a player. Shout out to Midjourney for that one, actually understanding the England badge, which he doesn't have any caps for yet, but a 4/ maybe 5-star striker from Exeter. Now, probably going to train him as he's already got some functionality on this left-hand side. He's got very strong both feet, actually. Well, very strong right foot, strong left foot, so I could play him on either inside forward if necessary in the future. He's 16, of course, but because he's English, he will come at 16, so that's fine. So just judge him on the fact he's still 2 years away from kind of being first team anyway, or anywhere near the first team, and I think we can probably accept he's going to be pretty solid. But yeah, shout out to Exeter. I kind of felt a little bit sorry mugging them off for only 675 grand. Well, that's what they negotiated. Right, so we're running through these in order of price tag. 5.5 million for Facundo Delfino. We beat Spurs to the punch on this one. They put the bid. I was eyeing him. I was considering him, and then Spurs put in a 5.5 million bid. It was his release fee for him, and I was like, oh, no, better get him. Injury prone has me concerned. However, everything else looks pretty all right. He's 18. He's listed as decent for a championship, so slide off the bench maybe. Get him some reasonable game time. He's listed as a defensive midfielder in the media description, and he absolutely isn't because he's got 4 tackling. He is an advanced playmaker. He will be the Thiago Malda effective replacement because we'll be playing Szoboszlai and Aouar in that role. For some reason, Johansson's face hasn't come in, but the Icelandic player from NEC, we've loaned him back to NEC because I didn't think he was going to get a work permit, and then he did get a work permit. But it's fine, really, because it allows Delfino to play ahead of him. And Dronelay, who I don't know how to pronounce because it's 2 vowels and then 3 consonants, but he's been around for a while, has Dronelay. Johansson looks pretty solid, actually. Actually, probably off the bat, he's probably actually more well-rounded than Delfino. And with more potential in him, 6.5 million, we've loaned him back. He'll get the game time. He'll develop more. I kind of like that. He was also 19 to start with, so he was never going to get homegrown for us, so it doesn't really matter. Next up is Daniel. He's listed as a centre-back. I'm actually going to train him as a defensive midfielder, I think, just because his jumping reach isn't superb. 6 foot isn't awful as a defender, and his tackling is pretty solid. But the combination of his jumping reach being only 13 and his heading being 12, I kind of like more from central defenders on that front. And his passing's not awful. I'm going to have to get rid of the no through ball trait, but I suppose whilst his passing and vision aren't superb, we'll just deal with that. For now, I'm actually probably happy to keep it on there till they develop. And then lastly is the big money signing of Nuno Rodriguez, who is a centre-back with 14 jumping reach to start with, 6'1". Ideally, I'd like a little bit more from that still, but also I need to get his pace up as things stand. So I'm prioritising pace first, but 37 million from Braga. Again, arrives at 19, so can't actually get homegrown for us. Neither can Daniel, who I think was 20. But 37 million release fee, I was forced into it. I accepted it. It's fine. It's kind of nice to actually have a centre-back, because right now we've only really got Boothby, who I don't know if he's going to be sensational or not, but he's professional and hopefully he does develop. But at 6'4" and 16 jump reach, I do like Boothby. We acquired him last time. We definitely paid over the odds for him. And just to mention some other youth prospects that we've not really seen yet, Antonio Gusso still exists. He's been here for a little while. He came from those Spanish under-18 named teams, so it does prove that you can get really good ones from there still. A lot of them just tend to be kind of League One potential. Occasionally there's a gem in there, and this happened. He might play a little bit this time. We should be training him to be a advanced playmaker, I think. And this lad's existed for a little bit as well. He's not got the greatest potential. The 3.5 million from Goiás. I think it actually is Goiás. I don't know what happened to my name fix. I'm going to have to look into that. I got thrown off by Roma being not Roma. I saw a player at a team called Capsolini. I thought, oh, that must be a lower league Italian side. Why is he worth 40 million? What? Turns out it's Roma. So I need to find that name fix. I don't know what's gone on there. But I tried to loan him out He was at Wigan last year. I tried to loan him out again this year and he refused the loans. And in fairness, his overall attributes aren't awful. His physicals are pretty solid. His mentals are pretty solid for a 20-year-old. His technicals are kind of what's laying him down right now. But again, as a DM who can play centre-back, I quite like him. I'm trading him as a central defender. Wait, no, I think they're trading him as a central defender. I need to actually trade him as a defensive midfielder. Because again, 13 jumping reach. I should mention as well, in terms of season preview, we are predicted 6th, 14-1. It's a very tight cluster, really, between Chelsea, United, Arsenal and ourselves. And there is one major manager transfer. Wayne Rooney has gone from Everton to Manchester United again. Yeah, he's now officially managed all the clubs he's played for. The weirdest part of all this, by the way, is I saw the news article saying Erik ten Hag's job basically relied on winning the FA Cup. He then won the FA Cup and got sacked, so clearly it didn't matter. Newcastle in the Champions League as well because of coefficients from last year. We have played one game. We played Brighton. Beat them 1-0 thanks to a penalty from Makoko, but we did have 15 shots on target. Yeah, it was one of those games where this gentleman's made 14 saves, and the only one he didn't keep out was the penalty. Yes, he looks all right. Brighton's still playing Stuart McKinstry, by the way. I can't fathom it. I can't work it out either. But we do have Liverpool, and I was tempted to do Manchester United as well. Because you are getting less episodes per season, I kind of want to feature a little bit more per episode. Good news is we're mostly fine. Gray still suspended from his red card at the end of last season. Oh yeah, also lurking around the team is Corbelan, who we acquired a couple of years ago. Again, 3, maybe 4 stars. He's actually trained at us now. We still have Lovric as a centre-back, who I think has actually already played this. I played him in friendlies. I do also need to mention the central defender situation, because we've had bids on basically everyone. Cresswell had a £57 million bid. He's absolutely not worth that, but he is to us because of this. He's now got 3 caps for England. Strauss had bids, and he actually was a little bit swayed by them, so we've had to agree if anyone bids 48 million, he'll go. I'm doubting it, but that was a thing. And Dicker had 1 year left on his contract, was demanding, I can't remember exactly what he was demanding, but I think it was more than the highest earner right now. Oh no, he was demanding star player, that was it, which caused a problem. And I couldn't give him that contract that he wanted. And then someone put in a bid for him, and I countered with, well, what would you want to make you stay? And he said 83 grand. I don't know what happened here. I think the game broke because he was demanding star player and well over 100 grand. I can't remember what it was. And then someone put in a bid, and through negotiation and trying to make him stay at the club rather than going to that club, he told me he wanted 83 grand. So I went, yeah, all right. Gave him that contract, and he agreed to that contract. So now he's got 5 years at 83 grand. And important player, not even star player. I mean, it's nice for an FM glitch to go in my favour for once, but what happened there? So he's here basically for the remainder of his career, because he'll be 32 by the time that contract ends. Dotchling was another problem child. He was demanding to be the highest paid player, basically. I obviously told him no and tried to get him in what would be kind of highest squad player level, because he's kind of my starter, but he's also 20. So I was trying to sort of meter him a little bit just so he doesn't get out of control later in this save. But then he started complaining to the press and things like that, and news stories kept going around, and the squad told me he wanted to get, the squad slightly turned on me. And it's like, I kind of had to relent a little bit, and we got him to 100 at least through sheer desperation. Still more than I want to pay him by about 20 grand at least. But yeah, I kind of had to deal with that. Doesn't have any extra years as well. But I mean, part of the problem was I wanted obviously to try and put extra extensions on. So yeah, that didn't happen. But we have triggered the extra year on Milinkovic-Savic, where he's got 2 years again. He signed on a 2+1 deal. So he was obviously in the last year of his contract again, and we managed to trigger it for another year. So we're good. We're good there. For Liverpool, Karnasecki, Keane, because Valeri is injured. Undika, Milenkovic, Gottschling right back. Phillips, Milinkovic-Savic, and Aouar is leading because Szoboszlai was injured. He's not for this one. That'll be Szoboszlai then. Pedro, Makoko, and Nketiah, because Milovanovic was injured. That'll be Milovanovic. I say Milovanovic was injured. I think he was just he had a bit of a knock still, so returning to fitness. And our bench is looking pretty strong. The usurp on the bench is Alban Dronley, as I've sort of talked about him. I haven't shown him. 5'5", a French wonderkid. Great determination. Insane mentals for a 19-year-old. And things are going down. Don't really know why. It might be because he's learning a new position, which is I'm trying to teach him this, but he could easily do winger, thinking about it. And that is kind of where he's playing at the moment. You know what, we'll train him as inside forward because that's where we're actually playing him right now. But if you could learn both inside forward and attacking playmaker, that'll be really good for versatility later on. But because we've lost Gomez, Nketiah is sort of the backup to both of these two positions now. So having Dronley available to play that side, really good, because Armada was the fill-in there as well. last year. So with Valeri still injured and Cole returning to fitness 45 minutes, we're still having to rely on basically 2 right backs to cover left back, or all 3 right backs to cover left back, if there's an issue with Keane, who's now up to 2.5 stars. Now, Liverpool acquired Dewsbury Hall. He's finally left Leicester. They are playing Tarek Lamptey on the wrong side of the fence, so that's interesting. Otherwise, the Liverpool team is irritatingly similar. Xavi Simons, Tammy Abraham up front. Yeah, just a fortune. I mean, even Fabinho's still there. He is younger than I thought he was. He's younger than me. Fabinho is one of those players who just felt perennially 34. And I think it's because I kind of conflate him a little bit with Fernandinho. As Liverpool scored within 8 minutes. There's the first highlight of the game. Abraham back post. None of my defenders decided to jump for it, so that was always going to be a problem. Good to know that was never fixed. It's Zoboslai on a corner, though, to put this in. Undicker's there, and he's done basically the opposite, actually. That was near post. But 18 jumper reach on Undicker. I did finally remember to look at corners, by the way. They weren't that broken. I still don't know why left-backs were attacking the ball last year, because it was still the centre-backs on both sides. So I don't know what happened there. Dewsbury Hall's gone close there. Karnasecki pops it round the post, and we're all good. I mean, a point away at Liverpool would be very nice indeed. Luis Diaz, Fabinho, highlight's not over. Virgil van Dijk, you might be now. There we are. Another dead ball situation. I swear to God, we've not seen a single... What? How has that gone in? Oh, I don't want to talk about FM goalkeepers, but what the flip? What is that from Karnasecki? I mean, that's 100% animation error, because there's no way the goalkeepers legitimately decided to do that. Oh, an actual open play highlight by the looks of things. Abraham. Still Abraham. I'm intrigued to know what the tackling decisions were there, or lack thereof. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that whole highlight and goal effectively starts by just letting Tammy Abraham run through us. I don't fathom, A, why is Makoko trying to head that to nobody? What is Milenkovic doing? Why has he got the turning circle of a small bus? But I just don't know why nobody put a foot in on... I mean, that was actually closer than it looked, but I don't know why nobody's put a foot in on Abraham originally. They just ran from basically the halfway line to the goal line. Thrash arms, you've been terrible, sort it out. I can't work out Milenkovic. I just don't know why he's terrible. I won't say terrible, but I just don't know why he's not exceptional. Because he should be really good, and he just isn't. I mean, if that went in, that would be ridiculous. We're 3-1 down. I've demanded more, and SMS and Pedro are unhappy with that feedback. I mean, what? Dewsbury Hall's clean through. What's going on there? Actually, 3-1 down. I can't really bring the youngsters on. But Awar, Bargi and Nketiah on as players that don't really weaken us too much. SMS off is a bit of a weakening, but tiring. Pedro in behind. That's a good ball. See, sometimes you do want through balls. Oh, it's gone in. I think he's onside. It's going to be questioned. But I think he's technically behind the ball. I mean, it is dumb, but it will count. Oh, it actually comes off Robertson. So actually, it probably would have been relevant from Zoboslai, not the Leeds player I thought it had come from. Calvin Phillips is booked and tired. He's coming off. James Keane's actually playing okay. I've only got one more sub, so Gotchling. Yes, let's bring on the centre back instead of the 2 right backs I've got on the bench. My assistant manager needs to be fired immediately. Livramento on. Late equaliser, maybe? Not great showing from me, the goalkeeper. I mean, Alisson was a little bit thrown off by the Nketiah goal there. I don't think we could have really done much about it. West Ham beat Chelsea. Big result. Newcastle beat Manchester City again, having beaten them on the final day of the season. Oh, Keane is now 1 appearance away from making 22 grand a week. I think he'll be all right. 2 assists. I mean, 1 was somewhat accidental there, let's be real. Now, for some reason, this season started with 3 games in a week. And here's the one I kept quiet on. I gave him a face because I figured it was going to happen. 34.5 million release fee on Jose Labego. And there he is in the Leeds shirt. 17 finishing, 17 agility, and 16 pace from Estoril Prayer. Estoril, either way. Says he's injury prone, decent Premier League to begin with. Agreed to be a squad player off the bat, which is quite nice for this kind of player. Often they have a little bit of an ego. Thankfully, he's a little bit more metered here. Now, he can do a little bit of left wing, but he will be the backup striker, which kind of releases Nketiah to be back up on the left again a little bit more. But he is my Gomez replacement, effectively, in terms of the hierarchy of the club. He will be a striker. His mentals could do with a little bit of work, but his physicals look great. His endurance really needs to come up actually a little bit in general. He's got reasonably good jumping reach, 6'2", and the rest of his technicals are quite well rounded too, the ones that matter. Passing technique, first touch, dribbling, all very nice. And room to grow. It's worth saying we've still got 56 million in the bank and 82 million in the transfer budget. We've got more than what we started with still. Now, in regards to replacing Milenkovic, Zabarnyi was the one I'm looking at. Price looks good, big matches, consistent, and only 24. This lad was also on my list of potential striker replacers, but I could still get him. But he would be one for the future. if he was interested. Valeri's still injured for Man United. We aren't going to do this game. We're unchanged apart from the fact I'm going to start Livramento over Gotchling, just because Livramento was slightly better last year. So just going to give him that start. Gotchling not being great. Well, he wasn't great last match, and Lebego's on the bench. He wants 10. We don't have it. He'll have 20. But Wayne Rooney's Manchester United lines up as that. Wu Yongjong. They've acquired Burkhardt this summer, along with, I think, Inacio. I can't remember if Tapsoba was this summer window as well. I feel like they had a bigger name than Inacio come in as well. Oh, I think I saw them bid for Matthias Tell, who is at Real Madrid at the moment. I don't think that one went through, though. That's the player I'm thinking of, because I think it was 69 million they bid for him. Nice. But I can't see him in the lineup, so I don't think they've acquired him. Oh, no, that was it. Vencedor, 92 million. That was their big money signing. I knew they had one. Now they're playing the no central midfielder formation. I mean, 36 minutes in, first highlight. It's a dead ball situation as well. Makoko, with a couple of heavy touches that weren't penalised for a change. He's managed to get the ball in. There's SMS, who's hit the bar. Their right back's broken. Manchester United haven't had a single shot yet, so they will score their first one, as is the way of Football Manager. Milenkovic finds SMS. We've still got that Serbian core to our team. Keane. There's Milovanovic, the front end of that line. That was breathtaking from Keane, says the text. What was? Jong's injured as well. Pedro's been clocked, I think, because he's suddenly really tired. Good. Some motivated players off that. Yeah, Pedro's just really tired. I think he's been injured, but Szoboszlai's in, and Szoboszlai scored. Welcome back, Dominic. I mean, he had an off-season of only 22 goal contributions last year, having scored, I think, 24 goals the year before, just goals. It's weird that a 22 goal contribution year from a midfielder was a poor year for him, but he's now got 3 in 2. Yeah, so Pedro's damaged, clearly, and he's booked as well for good measure, so Nketiah on there. Mokoko's not playing well, apparently. We're only 57 minutes in, though, so we'll let them have another 10 minutes at least. Man United brought Burkhardt on, maybe for one of the injured players. Fernandez, first shot, first goal. I mean, never change Football Manager, never change. To be fair, they might have had a shot in the 13 minutes of the second half that I haven't seen yet. Rooney wants more, says the text. I want more, or less nonsense at least. Phillips with a tackle that doesn't go anywhere near the player. Fernandez with a tap in. Why is Football Manager so predictable? First shot, first goal. Oh, and they've got a set piece as well. 2-1. But for whom? Nope, them. They've still got the ball. We might have moved on from the free kick, but highlights that start with free kicks usually end up in goals. But actually, for whom? Nketiah has got through their defence. It's for us. I was dreading a 2-1 for them immediately from the set piece, because that's normally what happens. Right, poor pass back there. Capitalise. I generally don't know how Eddie Nketiah gets through there, but he does and finishes. I was considering Nketiah for a sale. That he had a very big bid on him. It was another team in Europe, and they offered about 50-something million. I can't remember precisely. Okay, so SMS not fantastic again. That's Awar and Swap. Bakoko for Bargy. Gotchling on for them because they've not been great either. Keane's just going to have to see this out, unfortunately. And actually, yeah, Calvin Phillips doesn't look that tired, so I think Tyler Adams in box-to-box over Szoboszlai. Sorry, Szoboszlai, but you are tired. Awar on the set piece, whips it across, finds Milovanovic at the back post, taps over, cuts it out, and Dicker gathers, puts the ball back in, and it is Tyler Adams. Nketiah on the clearance. That's Rooney Bargy. Ricochet's corner, which we are going to see. Their man's come short, which frees up near post. I don't know where and Dicker was. Nketiah, though, inexplicably back. Okay, I don't know what's gone on there. Highlight, starting with the throw-in for Manchester United, has me concerned. Carlos says he makes a save. I'll say it's the first save I've seen from him, but he did save that free kick. Man United have had more shots after their goal, thankfully, so it looks less stupid. And Szoboszlai with back-to-back player of the matches. He's back. Still only 26, Dominic. He's certainly going to lead this team for the next 5 years, at least. £20 million. That must be the best deal I've seen for Szoboszlai. I think it's a case of just occasionally Leipzig just decide which of their midfielders they're going to transfer list. Because there's always one. Sometimes it's Dani Almo, sometimes it's Szoboszlai, sometimes it's one of the others. And boy God, have we capitalised on him. It was a January window we got him in as well. But 17 assists year one, first full year with him. 18 goals, 9 assists in the league the year after. Only 10 and 6 the year after that only. And he's already got 3 and 3. 2 of the player matches already in 3 games. In fact, no, he didn't even play the first one. So it's 2 player matches in 2 games. But yeah, 24 goals that year and 11 assists and 11 last year. So it was an off year, but we did obviously move to a 2 central midfielder system. He's already got 3 goal contributions in 2 games. I love the boy. Now, as per, we might actually feature a European game in December. I don't know who we're going to get, but the only quote-unquote big name down there is Liverpool. Could even do Arsenal on the first day of January. But we'll see. We know the structure of this save now. It'll be somewhere in that winter period. I'll decide once the Champions League fixtures come through. Decent start. I mean, a little bit hard done by maybe in the Liverpool game by the end of it, but we weren't playing that well until the very, very end. So we'll take 2 wins from 3 away at Liverpool. Is always going to be a difficult one. We've got to make it count in the next 6 league games, though. All very winnable games before we rock up to Arsenal and Manchester City away from home. Newcastle, Chelsea, that's a tough run. I will see you, though, for the next episode. If you enjoyed this one, do like, comment, subscribe. Our legacy is getting well underway now. Our signings for the future are finally here with a bit of budget and a bit of squad space, let's say. We're finally able to set up for the future. Until next time, ta-ra.